Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the conversation. I'm Bill Barker with Barker Strategic Solutions, and I'm so glad to have you with us this morning. We're going to let everybody come on, and so start chatting it up so we can see who's out there and give everybody a minute to get ready. And while we're doing that, I just remind you that we're in our series, Leading Through the Uncertainty of Change. We've been down quite a journey over the last 8 weeks, 9 weeks or so. And it's been quite encouraging to my heart to get a lot of your feedback and to hear from you about what it means and what you're taking away from it, sharing ideas about how you're thinking about leadership now. And after the first, hey, Robin Langton, my good buddy, how are you doing? Good to see you. And Rebecca, good seeing you again this morning. Jessica, so nice to have you. It's beautiful here in Florida. Let me know where some of you are from too. That would be fun in case if you're outside of Florida particularly. Good morning, Bill Ritchie. Good seeing you again. But anyway, we started down that path of leadership, and then we got into uncertainty of change. And buddy, good morning, Al. Good seeing you again. You know, and boy, was that topic timely, right? Have we been through a lot of change even in the last couple of weeks? And good morning, Christopher. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for your endorsement. John Cox, morning. It's been a long time, buddy. So good to see you jumping in here and joining us. Kate, good seeing you. Virginia, great seeing you. And now we've been talking about this concept of change. And, we started out talking a lot about fear. Beautiful in Sarasota, I bet. We talked about the fear of the unknown and how that kind of locked us down into our comfort zone. And hey, Kristen, good to see you this morning back. And Lexi, great seeing everybody pour in here this morning. Glad to see everybody up and active and ready to kick off the day in a positive way. I appreciate that. And it's really encouraging me, and I love it. But anyway, we talked about that fear of the unknown, how that kind of kept us locked down in what we're comfortable and familiar with. And then we said, you know what, we're not going to stay there. We're going to step out of that, and we're going to develop the courage to explore. Hey, Lori, good seeing you this morning. And think about new opportunities and how we could move forward with confidence, really be confident of moving, getting out, taking action, and being in motion in the face of uncertain times. So today we're going to continue that. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited about today's topic. I've thought a lot about this. My wife and I have been working on this for a while. And this has really been encouraging to me personally. But today we're going to continue that journey toward becoming a change agent with the topic on self-disruption. Hey, Beretta, how you doing? Good seeing you. For the sake of reconstruction, self-disruption for reconstruction. And let me tell you, as I've worked through this and thought about it, it's been really a positive for me. I believe, as I've reflected on this, all of us have to stay, and we do it naturally. Some people are more natural about it. Some people have more natural discipline. They grew up in a more disciplined environment. So you may think, well, there's certain people that just seem to have their act together. They're not having to think about their routines and other things. But trust me, they're modifying things all the time. They're self-evaluating all the time. They're changing their habits all the time. They're changing their exercise routine. Maybe they're changing their approach to leadership. They're changing their thoughts around certain aspects of that, because we have to constantly be recreating ourselves in this day and time. The marketplace moves so fast, things change so rapidly. We have to constantly be in a state of evolution and motion. So I've been thinking a lot about this around self-care. So really in leadership, and this is a great example when we think about influence, right? And modeling the way. We had a lot of conversation around that in our leadership principles. But for me, it really starts within, right? Am I a role model? Am I someone other people should and want to lead by my own actions? Am I demonstrating that? So I've been thinking a lot about that. And there is a lot that I could do better. And this is that part of being a little vulnerable and sharing. So I'm going to tell you, I have taken on a recommitment to disrupt my habits, to disrupt my routines, because frankly, to be honest with you, I've been carrying too much weight for too long. So I know that if I don't address that, and if I don't disrupt my habits and my routines and address that, my life's going to be disrupted because my health is going to continue to deteriorate. I already feel it. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my joints. I feel it even in my energy level sometimes, my concentration level sometimes. So going through this exercise has been really, really positive for me. Now I'm going to ask you all to help me. I started this a couple of weeks ago, and I started thinking about this, and I'm really proud to announce today that I have lost 10 pounds. The first 10 pounds are always a little bit easier. Let's say, all right, encourage me here a little bit. But I'm going to keep reporting. I'm going to keep reporting back to you. We're going to roll this thing up in August through a Capstone project, and I'm going to report out each week a little bit how my progress is going. Use me as my accountability team and buddies to keep me on track here. But I am as committed to that as I've ever been, and I know how important it is. And I'm going to report out in August how well we did. I love that, Melinda. Teaching taught me a lot about the importance of modeling my expectations. Can't ask others for something you're not willing to give. Amen, John Cox. Yeah, and thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. So let's get into this a little bit. So thank you, Al. So what comes to mind when you think about disruption? Thank you, Terry. Is it a coworker interrupting your train of thought? Maybe, is it kids disrupting the dinner? I can remember those days for sure. Maybe it's the dog starts barking right in the middle of the best part of the movie or right at the highlight of a football game. Those are disruptions, But let's think about in today's times, right? Oh, man, is anybody big time disruption, right, that we've all experienced over the past couple of years? This pandemic, it's probably been one of the most disruptive aspects of life that I've experienced in my 58 years, right? And it has really changed a lot of the ways that we think. It's disrupted everything from how we work, how our kids learn, and even how where we go and how we buy things. I mean, think about that. So in that, I've talked a lot to my clients about capitalizing on the state of recovery from this pandemic. There's going to be great opportunity in my mind if you can read the marketplace, flex with the marketplace, and have the ability to see around corners a little bit. There's going to be great opportunities to take advantage of how this has disrupted routine, habit, and things like that. You've seen great success stories in restaurants, how they've been successful pivoting from sit-down dining to takeout to teaching classes and things like that. That's what we're talking about a lot today. Typically disruption is often thought about as something that happens to us. So talk a little bit about some disruptions that happened to you a little bit that you're willing to share to kind of get context around this. But what we want to talk about today is it's not really often something we think about of doing to ourselves, right? But what about being proactive, intentional disruption of our normal course? That's what we want to think about. Lexi said, I heard yesterday that sometimes things don't have to make sense. They just need to be sensational. That's right. And now thinking about it, can't that be the most wonderful form of disruption? Amen. I love that. Keep sharing. That is great. That encourages my heart for sure. So let's think about proactive, intentional, losing your job, changing jobs, looking for a new job, huge disruption. John, you've been through that. I've been through that. Others have been through that. And it's also an awakening, right? It's for me, it's been enlightening. So let's think about proactive, intentional disruption from our normal course, our activities, our routines, the way we think, how we live and work. Do you ever think about doing that? Have you ever thought about that from that context? Really disrupting yourself, deliberately interrupting the areas in your life that have become stagnant, purposely breaking from the status quo. So for me, when I started thinking about my health, I had to break some routine. I had to break from the status quo. I couldn't eat the same things at the same times, at the same volumes every day. I couldn't drink the same amounts. And you know what? I realized so much of it was habitual. It wasn't out of the need. It wasn't really out of necessarily so much desire. It had just become habitual because I had not stopped and paused long enough to think, is this the activity that I really want to do today? Is this how I really want to invest in my life today? How I want to spend my time or how I want to influence my body? Go back to what Andy talked about a little bit with most valuable activities. That plays into that. That's an exercise of self-awareness to really help you think about how to disrupt those things that need to be for the sake of rebuilding better. Today, new technologies and economic realities are changing business at such a speed. Some, and I'm including that myself in that today, which suggests that we need intentional disruption before involuntary disruption by someone else. We all know people whose lives have been disrupted. John just talked about it while they were making plans, right? I used to say all the time, life is what happens while you're making plans, the old cliche, right? Life is what happens when you're making plans. And I do agree with you, Nikki. Atomic Habits, that's a great resource around this by James Clear. It's a book, it's an excellent book. Jody's referred it. I have it in my reading pile. And I do agree with you. That would really be very helpful. And it's kind of a new angle on some of that. So I agree. Atomic Habits is a great resource for you. I was one of those. I didn't think about, I'd be sitting here when I was talking about being disruptive. What John's talking about. I didn't think I'd be sitting here today doing this with you all, but I'm so glad that I am. Jim Fogler, our CEO of Florida Press Association, he thought he'd probably still be in his home state of New York, doing his thing, playing hockey up there and having a great time. But instead, he's sitting in sunny Florida in early March on a very beautiful day. So see, Jim, you got disrupted, but isn't that wonderful? The outcome of that created a new opportunity for you and a lifestyle you never dreamed of. And we're really happy for you. So many of you are not where you thought you'd be either, right? Something changed, someone disrupted your plans, or you had to come up with a new plan. Someone said to me one time, and I don't recall who it was exactly, but not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some come to clear your path. Let that sink in for a minute. I think that's fantastic. Not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some come to clear the path. That's healthy, right? That's the positive way to think about and view disruptive change, as a path to new and exciting possibilities. So here's what I want you to think about in context. Self-disruption requires two things, two simple but very important things to do. The self-awareness to know when it's time to really self-assess, but the self-awareness to know. I've really kind of in the background knew I need to do this self-awareness and evaluation for a while, but I just wouldn't recognize it was the time, right? But then here's the kicker, and this is the hard one for me, then the self-discipline to act. Right? It's like the old adage, go to the gym, the hardest thing's tying your shoes. The self-discipline to act and follow through. We all know disruption doesn't just affect us as individuals. Entire industries and organizations are being disrupted by external forces every day. They're being disrupted right at this minute. Your business is being disrupted right at this minute. So what is the purpose of disrupting ourselves? Again, it's that there are plenty of external opportunities already doing this to us, right? So why do we want to do it? And the reason is we don't want to be reactive. We want to be proactive. The purpose of self-disruption is to lead yourself and your organization out of stagnation. And I'd say not only stagnation, but when you're heading toward it, reevaluating adjacent markets, reevaluating the market for true opportunities. Where is the market today? Lead yourself through that rather than be forced through it, following someone else's lead, right? It's going on the offense and understanding you'll never win just by playing defense, right? Self-disruption is throwing yourself that curveball, right? And so here's what I want you to think about. It purposely activating change for these outcomes, to find a better way to create sustainable growth. If your business is growing, you want to sustain it. If it's not growing, you want to get in growth, because you're not growing, you die. And that's just the realities of business, right? So we want to get to sustainable growth. Ask yourself every day, what do I need to change? What do I need to do to get there? Create a thriving life for you and your business and the people you work with. Thriving life. See possibility. Embrace change. Remember, we're moving from fear to actually being an agent of it. Better serve and retain customers. It absolutely will play into retention. If you're in sales, rethinking their customer solution set is vital. Disrupting them when they're comfortable with what they've always done is vital. Trust me, because the biggest problem, and I use this context for business just like I do our human resource, hire, fire, demote, or promote. We always look at the talent set around that, but also look at your client set. Are they hiring you? Are they firing you? Are they promoting you? Or are they demoting you? I can tell you in our business, if you're in media, the biggest, yes, Lexi, flexibility, flexing your resilience muscle. I love it. And in our business, the biggest problem in media was demotions, not necessarily firings. We were bleeding so much money because people were disrupting their model for marketing and using other sources rather than us for those disruptive elements. And so therefore we retained them as an account, but we lost revenue. Remember that. And then this is about adding new devotees. They see through you what your confidence to self-evaluate and do these things and see the vision for the future, create a vision that is inspired, like we talked about, and you're going to have more devotees. We're building leaders along the way, as you know. Here's a good quote. Times of crisis, of disruption, or constructive change are not only predictable, but desirable. They mean growth. Taking a new step, uttering a new word, it's what people fear most, and that's Fyodor Dostoevsky. That's not a Southern name, by the way, but Fyodor Dostoevsky. Jody put that in there where I'll get that right. But I love that quote. Jeff Fried, I have found using the schedule sends function in email as a great tool to balance outgoing and potential incoming disruption. That's a great tool too. And I think Jeff makes a great point. There's so many tools around through, your email systems, your cell phones now. There's so many things to keep us in check, to do self-evaluation, to monitor our health, to monitor these other things. Yeah, times of crisis, of disruption, or constructive change. There you go. Thank you. There's the quote, and there's the name. Self-disruption inspires us to self-evaluate. That's what we've been talking about. Who we are, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and where we're going in the future, right? It also speaks to being creative, to recreate. Self-evaluation gains for us a greater self-awareness that, if acted upon early, we don't want to be reactive, remember, can then give us the advantage and keeps us leading the competition. It keeps us in a position of leadership within our organization and within the marketplace. If we are to proactively advance toward a purposeful change, remember, all this is about intentionality. Here's some questions I'd ask you to think about. Is my business model working, or does it need to be disrupted? Be honest about it. Really give it a serious self-evaluation. If you're in sales and you're a leader of an organization that has sales organizations within it, have them do a needs analysis. You become a client, sit down with them and let them do a needs analysis. Really think about how you're going to market your business model, and is it as competitive as it could be? Are our skills and responsibilities aligned to achieve the highest possible performance and outcome? Really evaluate the skills and responsibilities within your organization, and are they properly aligned to the marketplace? Are you doing that within oneself? Do we go about our daily routines and processes in a way that is most productive? Productivity is really a competitive advantage. Those that are the most productive, I said, particularly coming out of this pandemic, the businesses that are best at execution will win. Execution will win the day because it gives you an advantage, gives you advantage in everything, price, speed, everything. What are our dreams and our goals? And are we on the right path to achieving them? So back to self-honesty and evaluating our own business. Are the goals that we've set for the organization, are they legitimate? Are they stretch enough? And if they are we on the right path? All disruption starts with introspection. Remember that. All disruption starts with introspection. Jay Smith said that. After the process of self-evaluation, the point of self-disruption is reconstruction. This is where we reimagine, reinvent, and retool new methods and processes. So remember, the process of self-evaluation leads us to the point of reconstruction through self-disruption, where we challenge ourselves to explore, create, innovate, and dream of possibilities. Isn't that encouraging? That encourages me right now to have the ability to create, innovate, and dream about possibilities. This is a point at which we draft a bold plan. Be honest with ourselves. Do that real self-awareness in the mirror, and then go out and build yourself a bold plan that will push and challenge you. Okay? And I want you to think about this. Pursue new opportunities, become more relevant and competitive, build a path to greater growth and prosperity. Robert Scoble said, change is inevitable, and disruption it causes often brings both inconvenience and opportunity. So don't let it slow you down. Many who have undertaken self-disruption have found it to be very self-fulfilling. I just talked about that, even exhilarating, and certainly a learning experience. Often they move into the inevitable position of being true to themselves and doing what they love instead of continuing to do something that no longer they find rewarding. So the quote I'm leaving you with is, pivoting is not the end of disruption process, but the beginning of the next leg of your journey. And that's Jay Schmidt too. And today, our book is going to Melinda Parnell. Thank you. We appreciate so much your engagement today. You won the book, The Art of Possibility. We think that is great alignment to what we're talking about. So here's my takeaways, and I'm going to let you go. The final question to ask yourselves: will you be the disruptor, or will you be disrupted? Will we lead ourselves, or will we follow others? It's always our choice. Next week, we're going to move away from this self-disruption to reconstruction to a very important topic: the evolution solution for transformative change. We hope you'll come back. We love everybody being here. Thank you for your time. And until next week, lead on.